In the realm of horror films and suspenseful literature, no backdrop is more chilling than that of a sinister household. What happens when the very space meant to offer utmost security transforms into the stage of your darkest fears? The notion that one's dwelling could morph into a den of dread is unfathomable. Yet this was beyond the imagination of the proprietors of the 10 horrifying homes we're about to explore. Number 10. Villa de Vecchi. Dubbed the most notorious haunted mansion in Italy, this forsaken villa nestled in the mountains dates back to 1854, constructed by Count Felix de Vecchi, a prominent figure in the Italian National Guard. Legend has it that one tragic evening, the Count returned to discover his wife brutally slain and his daughter vanished without a trace. Stricken with sorrow, he succumbed to despair and ended his life within the mansion's walls a year later. Since those dark days, eerie occurrences have plagued the locale, including nightly melodies from a ghostly piano. The mansion's reputation for supernatural phenomena drew the attention of the infamous occultist Aleister Crowley, renowned for his seances and dark rituals. Clearly, a favored haunt of Crowley's is unlikely to be on anyone's wish list of idyllic retreats. Number 9. The Corpse Doll House. There's not much scarier than a house full of life-size dolls, except when those dolls are made from real corpses. That's what greeted investigators when they entered the house of Anatoly Moskvin, who was, on the surface, a Russian academic and linguist. But once they dug deeper, they discovered he was hiding a lot of dark secrets. Moskvin, a paranoid schizophrenic, had dug up the bodies of 26 girls, all aged between 3 and 15 years old. After mummifying their bodies, he would dress the corpses up in little girls' clothing, apply makeup to their faces, and pose them around his house. Apparently, he claimed to have felt great sympathy for the dead children, and thought he could bring them back to life by either science or black magic. Unbelievably, Moskvin lived with his parents, who claimed they had no idea that the dolls were actually dead bodies. They should probably consider getting their eyesight tested, and probably their sense of smell too. Eventually, Moskvin pleaded guilty to a spate of grave desecrations, a charge carrying up to 5 years in prison. He's since been moved to a psychiatric clinic, and every extension to his stay has been approved since. Number 8. Shanley Hotel. Arriving at a hotel, eager for a serene vacation, only to be greeted with a waiver to sign before receiving your room key is hardly a promising start. This is the norm at the eerie Shanley Hotel in New York, where guests are met with a chilling prelude to their stay. The hotel's notoriety for paranormal activity is such that it bars entry to anyone under the age of 16, due to its history marked by more than a half-dozen deaths, casting a shadow of a curse over the establishment. Visitors have reported unexplained noises, self-rocking chairs, and frequent apparitions, including the sorrowful ghost of Beatrice, a previous owner who lost her 3 children in the house before they reached their first birthdays. A peculiar tale involves Sallie House, the hotel's current proprietor, who observed his longtime pet cat exhibiting bizarre behavior upon moving in, including avoiding specific rooms and drastically altering its outdoor habits. One night, they even captured a ghostly encounter on video. Adding to the hotel's chilling aura is its connection to one of the most terrifying tales ever told. Stephen King penned The Shining during his stay, drawing macabre inspiration from its halls. It begs the question, who willingly pays for such a haunted experience? For me, it would take a significant sum to brave such a haunting ordeal. Number 7. The Snake House. After buying their dream home for $180,000, a couple thought they made the deal of the century until they moved into their new property in Idaho. Not long after, they discovered they weren't the only residents calling the house home. In fact, the 5-bedroom house was pretty full already. Of snakes. It turned out their dream home was already the dream den for hundreds of garter snakes, and those snakes refused to move out, instead slithering around in the walls and popping out of places all around the home. Turns out the home was most likely built on a winter snake den, or hibernaculum, where the reptiles gather in large numbers to hibernate. Even their water supply was affected by the snakes, as it carried the foul, oniony-smelling musk that the snakes released as a warning to predators. Eventually, the new residents called it quits with their nightmare neighbor and moved out, leaving the house to be roamed free by the wriggly reptiles. Number 6. The Sallie House. Regarded as one of the most notorious haunted residences in the United States, this dwelling is purportedly plagued by a malevolent entity known as Sallie. The spirit of Sallie, a young girl who met her untimely end due to a medical mishap within the home's walls, is said to have been the initial specter to haunt its corridors. Over time, the house has reportedly become a haven for numerous other displaced and troubled spirits, adding to its eerie reputation. The tale of Tony and Deborah Pickman, who moved into the house in December 1992, adds a chilling chapter to its history. They experienced unexplainable phenomena, such as lights flickering on and off, their dog barking incessantly at the nursery, and their baby's frequent disturbances as if an unseen presence were interacting with him. Neighbors questioned why the nursery light remained on throughout the night, though Deborah was certain she had turned it off. Tony's encounter with a spectral figure resembling a young girl, which he sketched and was later recognized by a child of previous occupants as her imaginary friend Sallie, underscores the haunting's intensity. With former residents recounting a gamut of paranormal occurrences, from visible apparitions to inexplicable noises and disturbances, the legacy of Sallie's tragic fate continues to loom over the house, making it a place many would hesitate to visit. Number 5. Monte Cristo Homestead. Since being built in 1885, this house has become the scene of many tragedies and is today said to be Australia's most haunted house. The first family to live in the property experienced an unusually high number of deaths, all of which took place inside the home, including a young child who was dropped and fell down the stairs. A maid fell to her death from the balcony, and a stable boy was burnt to death. The mentally ill son of the caretaker was kept locked up inside a cottage on the property and was one day discovered laying down beside the body of his dead mother. Shortly after being sent to a mental institute, the son died. Even after the original family moved on, the curse of death lived on inside the house, including the murder of another caretaker. Said to be haunted by the spirits of all those who tragically died here, this isn't a house I'd recommend to visit, especially if you're a caretaker. Number 4. The Myrtles Plantation. In Louisiana, a former plantation home is reputed to be haunted by 12 ghosts, including a young girl named Chloe, the daughter of a former slave. Additionally, it's said that the spirits of 10 murdered victims haunt the premises, with one notable victim being William Winter, an attorney who lived there in the late 1800s and was shot by an unknown assailant. Despite attempting to climb the stairs for help, Winter died on the stairwell. Visitors often report seeing apparitions, hearing mysterious footsteps, and experiencing technical issues during recordings, with the sound of Winter's final steps being a particularly poignant and common paranormal occurrence. Number 3. Loftus Hall. The history of Ireland's most haunted house dates back to 1170. It has a long and bloody past, with many spirits said to roam its halls. Locals even claim that the devil himself haunts the building. Legend has it that in the 1600s, a sailor seeking shelter from a storm played cards with a young girl named Anne, who lived in the mansion. When Anne dropped a card and looked under the table to retrieve it, she saw that the sailor had cloven hooves. In shock, Anne screamed, and the sailor revealed himself to be Satan before disappearing in a ball of fire. Anne was said to have never recovered and lived the rest of her life in a state of shock-induced silence. When Anne died, her muscles had seized, so she was buried in the same sitting position in which she died. Catholic priests have attempted to exorcise the house, but the attempts have failed. Staff working at the mansion have reported seeing Anne's ghost walking down the stairs. Number 2. Ancient Ram Inn. In the 12th century village of Watton under Edge in the UK, a building reputed to house up to 20 spirits, including a murdered girl named Rosie, a high priestess, and an incubus, stands on an ancient pagan burial site with a dark history of child sacrifices and devil worship. Despite its eerie reputation, the building was once turned into a bed and breakfast, charging visitors about £50 a night. However, many guests refused to stay in the Bishop's Inn room, haunted by a monk's ghost, with some fleeing in terror. Highlighting other unsettling tales, a filmmaker scouting for a BBC documentary found an abandoned house with walls that seemed to bleed, later discovered to be due to a bat infestation. Another chilling case involved a Missouri home overrun by over 6,000 brown recluse spiders, making it nearly uninhabitable and suggesting it might be best to concede the house to the spiders. Number 1. McKamey Manor. McKamey Manor sets the bar for extreme haunted house experiences, unmatched in its intensity and psychological depth. No participant has ever seen it through to the end. Designed to last about 8 hours, this harrowing journey often ends much sooner for most, leaving them overwhelmed and in tears. From confinement in tight spaces to encounters with snakes or spiders, the manor confronts you with your deepest fears, ensuring a personal trial by terror across 4 distinct venues, each aimed at testing your limits both physically and mentally. It's akin to being part of a live horror film. Entry requirements are strict. Participants must be over 21, in good health, and sign a comprehensive waiver, a clear warning sign of the ordeal ahead. Despite these daunting aspects, over 24,000 brave, or perhaps foolhardy, souls are on the waiting list, a testament to the curious allure of extreme experiences. By comparison, a traditional haunted house, even one filled with ghosts, seems positively inviting. So which house would you refuse to enter? Have you ever experienced an encounter with a poltergeist? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.